Believe in Bigfoot, Dogman, any cryptid? Are you skeptical?
Curious about the supernatural, conspiracy theories, the unknown? Then come join us as we explore facts, tall tales, and encounters on Creatures and Curiosities.
Hello and welcome to Creatures and Curiosities. I'm David.
And I'm Jake.
And in this week's episode, we're going to be talking about the possibility of a flat Earth.
Yeah.
I know that's a very controversial subject. Some people get actually angry over it.
Which is a funny thing.
It is very strange that anybody would be angry over anybody else's opinion because it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah. How does it affect them?
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. If the Earth is round, great. If the Earth is flat, great. It does not change our life. It doesn't do anything.
It ruins some people's days, though.
It does. And people will lose their minds over it. And for the purposes of this podcast, we're not giving an opinion per se of whether or not we are flat Earth or round Earth people.
Yeah.
We're just trying to bring to light the possibility that it does exist. And there's a big movement for the flat Earth right now.
Right.
And from what I understand, I've seen figures of about 10% now of the populace of areas that have been polled.
Right.
So that's not the entire world. Most of it's just U.S. polling that about 10% actually believe that the Earth is flat.
Which is a big number if you think about it.
It is compared to what it was when I was growing up.
Right.
People would laugh you out of the school if you even suggested flat Earth.
Exactly.
And a big reason for that is the global concept, the people that came up with it, the people that have taught it, and the indoctrination that we have into it. They purposely will show like pictures of the Earth with the water falling off the edges and ships falling off the edge.
Yeah.
And they're showing comical things that when you look at it, you just go, how could anybody even believe that?
Yeah, you'd have to be a moron.
You got to be a moron to believe it. But that is not what people believe in the concept of flat Earth.
Right.
That it's a contained system. And so for the purpose of this particular episode, this is going to be a multi-part episode.
Yeah.
We're not going to get into the evidence or lack of evidence of whether it's a globe or whether it's a flat Earth in this episode. We are getting there. And so if this angers you and you don't even want to listen to it, then fine. Understand that, we're going to, in this episode, be talking about the difference between the scientific view of Earth versus the scriptural view of Earth and why those differences exist. We're going to go over some facts regarding that, but we're not getting into other things like aerodynamics and radar and
flight patterns. Yeah, navigation, all that stuff.
Gravity. And we're not doing all of that in this episode. That's coming up in a future episode.
Yeah.
So bear with us as we do this episode. This one could be maybe a little boring, maybe not. I don't know. It depends on, your outlook on it.
Yeah.
But what we're really trying to do here is do a comparison between what the Bible says and what mankind says.
Right.
And so we're setting a stage for how Earth started, how life started. And then we're going to get into, in the next episode, the reasons that people believe that it's flat and a globe.
Yeah.
And we'll give both sides, both perspectives.
Yep. And if you're already huffing and puffing and rolling your eyes, you're the people that we just talked about.
Yeah.
Don't let it ruin your day.
Don't let it ruin your day.
Just sit back and listen.
Everything's theoretical. And by the time we're done, if you can't look at this and see that there's some brainwashing that has been taking place,
yes,
then you're clearly just not able to look at facts.
Right.
Because we're going to go over some things that probably just going to blow your mind. Not in this particular episode, but stick with us.
Yeah.
And by the time we're done, you're going to have to question everything. Is the bottom line. So since we were little, we've been completely and totally indoctrinated into the heliocentric model of Earth and its relationship to the sun, the moon, the stars, the galaxy, And I know, like in my situation, I'd say very little, but actually no thought to the scientific explanation that was given to me. And I just accepted it as truth.
Yeah.
I didn't
Same.
question anything. And so if you think about it, when you start off in school, one of the very first things that you learn, like in kindergarten, is, you take your nap and you do your little things and you learn songs and numbers. And I don't even think they started the alphabet when I was going to school. I don't think that was until like first grade. I remember them up around the room. They had it on the wall, all the little letters and what they looked like. But what I do remember is the globe.
Yeah.
Every school had a globe.
Every classroom.
In
every school, yeah.
You walk up, you see the globe and the heliocentric model. Remember the one where they're on like wires?
Yep.
And you could like fling them.
Yeah, I was going to say some of them you can push.
Yeah, it's like an abacus.
Spin them around. Yeah, exactly.
Right? And so you could fling these planets around the sun, and they taught you the heliocentric model. Sun in the center, followed by all the planets. Since then, they've changed how many times? Like Pluto was a planet, and then it was a subplanet, and then it was a whatever. And now I think it's back to a planet now. I don't even know.
They don't know if they're coming or going, so I can't remember.
And I've just gotten to the point over my lifetime that if you start questioning things, the moon landing is a classic example. I bought into that hook, line, and sinker. I was 9 years old when they landed on the moon. I thought it was the greatest thing I've ever seen. Now that I watch the footage of it, I'm like, how in God's name did I believe any of that? It's so fake, so phony. And then you look at the evidence today that suggests that it didn't happen. It's way more clear to me that it didn't happen. And I think that if you take the heliocentric model and you listen to the facts, you have to question it.
Absolutely.
And then if you start questioning that, then you kind of start looking at, is it possible that the Earth is flat and it's a contained system? And the answer is yes. I mean, I think anybody that listens to everything that we're going to talk about and can't question what you learned in school, then you're so closed-minded that you drank the Kool-Aid and that's it.
Yeah.
And there's no hope for you. Now, am I saying that the Earth is flat? No. Am I saying that if you believe that it's a globe, you're an idiot? No. That's not where I'm going at all. I'm just saying question the authorities that are telling you
exactly
this crazy mumbo jumbo that we're going to go over. So this particular episode of the podcast, we're just really going to look at some of the differences between the belief that Earth is flat or spherical. And I would just ask that you clear your mind of everything that you've been told and taught and what you currently believe, and listen to reason. Not that every scientific thing is reasonable, because sometimes they're not, right? I mean, I've personally witnessed like accidents where somebody got hit and they fly out of their shoes. I had a case where a guy got hit by a car, a pedestrian. He came out of his jacket, flipped in the air, went back through his jacket, but his arms went through both of the arm sleeves, but the jacket was on backwards. And so you think, how is that even possible?
Yeah.
Well, because crazy, weird things can happen. Speed, inertia, physics. Nobody in this podcast is going to deny that science exists. It's just, I don't believe all of it.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
And so I'm just saying, don't be afraid to question the things that go on around you. If your eyes see one thing, but they're telling you another, do you believe what you just watched, or do you believe what somebody came up with? And I would say use reason and logic. And I think when you do, you can completely destroy the heliocentric model.
Yeah. Open-minded reason and logic.
Open-minded reason, right.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you're just going to go back to the kindergarten and say, no.
They told me.
We're spinning around this globe.
Mrs. Applegate wouldn't have lied to me. Come on. Yeah.
Then right. Just turn us off, because you don't want to hear anymore. You'll just get mad. So we're going to start with just creation itself. I've known people on both ends of this spectrum. I know some that, and unfortunately, the people that believe in the creation theory that I'm going to talk about right now, most of them are atheists. They don't even believe that there's a God, or they're agnostic. There's a higher power somewhere, but certainly not the God that you're thinking of. They're the ones that kind of believe this theory. And then there are other people that believe Scripture. And so we're going to kind of go over that, and you make a decision as to what you believe. Nobody's telling you what to believe. But science, or mankind, is going to tell you that the earth was formed out of cosmic chaos, known as the Big Bang Theory. And so we all know that chaos just in and of itself has no form or structure, right?
Right.
And so you have to kind of question everything that we're going to go from this point in the creation of earth, because if chaos has no structure, then how did everything end up so perfect? And that's where you have to question this stuff. So science is going to tell you Earth was formed 4.5 billion years ago. Now, how do you come up with that? That's the first question. Yeah, science. 4.5 billion. How? How do they know that? They don't.
Right.
That's a made-up number. And people are going to say, oh, they carbon dated. Yeah. They did not.
And not to get on a tangent, but carbon dating's so funny to me because they're very cavalier with numbers. So they'll carbon date something, right? Yep. They'll say, this is 100 million years old. And people go, oh my gosh, can you believe that? 100 million years old. That's amazing. 6 months later, they're like, we retested it. It's actually 250 million years old. And people go, wow. And I'm thinking,
how are you?
You're 150 million years off. Do you know how long that is?
Right.
And people are just like, oh yeah, no, it's just 150 million years. It's not a big deal.
Bucket.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's all a scam.
It's a scam.
These numbers are all made up.
It's bogus.
And when we get into like our next episode, the numbers, you're just going to see complete bogus.
Right.
But
we'll try our best
we'll try and refrain from getting into that one. But so 4.5 billion years ago, this massive cloud of gas and dust, which still exists out there. So that's still the dust and the clouds and all these horrible things are still out there in space. So I don't understand why this hasn't happened again. Or maybe it has. Maybe that's why we rediscover all these new galaxies.
Yeah.
But these things are called solar nebulas. Well, this particular solar nebula collapsed, flattened into a spinning disk, and then gravity, where magic just happened.
Yeah.
Right? This gravity pulled all of this material together, and towards the center of the disk, it ultimately became our sun.
Now, how could they know that?
I don't know. Satan told them.
Yeah, I guess.
That's what I'm guessing. Particles crashed and stuck together to form rocks, and then those bits of rock and metal bumped into each other and stuck together to form larger bodies, which were called planetesimals. These pieces grew larger and larger over millions of years, and gravity continued pulling them together and bringing in more space debris, forming the early stage of Earth. And science calls this accretion. So just dust and gases floating through space, banged into each other, formed the sun and the Earth and the planets.
Easy.
Gravity somehow came with this, pulling more debris in and forming our planet perfectly, a perfect sphere from a chaotic event or explosion. Perfect spheres, some containing different gases, some on fire, big balls of fire.
Yeah.
Some orbiting each other while others orbit those. And all of this chaotic movement formed a perfect solar system.
Over millions of years.
Over millions, billions, actually.
Oh, yes. Yes. Sorry.
So energy from constant impacts, pressure, and radioactive decay made our Earth extremely hot. So hot, in fact, that it melted into a big ball of liquid rock. So now the Earth is actually like formed. It's this big ball.
Yeah.
But it's all rock. Heavier elements like iron and nickel sank to the middle of the ball to form Earth's core. Lighter materials stayed on the outer edges and formed the Earth's crust. So, okay, buy that.
Yeah.
Got a bunch of metal underneath our feet. Go out with a magnet and drag it and pull iron and stuff up out of the soil. Now, the center of the Earth is supposedly so hot you can't get there, but we know what it is, right?
You can't get to it, but you know what it is.
Can't get to it, we know what it is.
Right.
Lighter materials that stayed on the outer edge forming that Earth's crust would be what? Dirt? Rock? I don't know.
Space debris.
Yep. Yeah. Radioactive material.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff.
Yep.
And it just happened to create the ground that we walk on. Now, along came a giant Mars-sized body named Thea.
Oh, there you go.
Your daughter's name. And it crashed into Earth. Now, think about that. Mars, basically, crashes into Earth. And the impact is so massive and so devastating that it formed these enormous craters on this planet now called Earth. And the debris it caused flew about 230,000 miles into space, where it all collected together to form what is now our moon. So as Earth began to recover from that massive impact with a Mars-sized ball that smashed into us, the surface that was superheated by that crash started to cool down. Well, water from inside the planet and from falling comets and meteors collected in the craters and formed the first ocean. Now, I thought the earlier description was that the center of the Earth was metal and heavy debris that was radioactive and molten hot.
Molten hot, yeah.
But yet,
water's there.
There's water there too.
Yes.
So I'm not sure how the two coexisted, but they did.
It's hot enough to keep the water there. It doesn't make it.
Yeah. And then these cool waters that forms the ocean come from the center of the Earth, which is molten rock and metal.
Yes.
So there's your first ocean.
We're on the same page.
Yeah. Now, the Earth's continents, they moved into their current positions through a process called plate tectonics. Now, we do know that there are plates.
Yep.
So we know that much, right? Because it's earthquakes when the plates move a little bit and the ground shakes. But these land masses of the outer shell actually broke into these massive puzzle pieces that floated across the hot rocks beneath them. The Earth's core was so hot, it warms the lower mantle, causing the hot rock to slowly rise towards the crust. And then as the rock reaches the top crust layers, it cools down and sinks again. And that continuous rising and sinking created circular conveyor belts that actually dragged these land masses around. Well, the plates moved at a rate of about 1 to 4 inches per year. And over 300 million years, we were able to pinpoint that as well. All of the land masses crashed into each other and formed a supercontinent. And then 100 million years later, the rift valleys formed and they split the continent into smaller pieces. And then North America and Europe pulled away from each other. Magma rose up to fill in the gap, which then created the Atlantic Ocean floor. Now, I kind of did some math on this. Over, say, the 300 million years, traveling 1 to 4 inches per year, that means these land masses traveled somewhere between 4,735 miles and 18,940 miles. So you can imagine these massive chunks of land. I mean, think about like North America, Canada, America, and Mexico splitting away from Europe and traveling up to 18,000 miles over hot rock.
Yeah.
and sliding, around the globe. And then they all just magically stopped and sit where they currently are.
Yeah.
Well, to me, that doesn't make any sense. And so I thought, well, are we still moving then? I mean, over the last, say, 100,000 years or so, how come we haven't moved away from where we are? Well, according to science, we are. And we're still moving at that same rate. So what they've come up with, science says that 50 million years from now,
Yep.
which I don't know how they can come up with this, but 50 million years from now, Africa is actually going to collide with Europe. It's going to completely close off the Mediterranean Sea, and it's going to raise these massive mountain chains. So, if you live in Africa,
stand by.
Yeah, you better start learning English and stuff because you're going to be in Europe pretty soon. In 100 million years, Australia is going to drift north into Southeast Asia, and they're going to collide with Indonesia and China. And in 250 million years, which, I won't be here, so I don't know.
Yeah.
All of the land masses are going to fuse together again in one big supercontinent.
And then after that, are they going to break back apart, or that's it? It's done.
That I think that's as far out as science can go right now, 250 million years from now. And everything is just going to be one massive landmass.
We're better at going back then, because we can go back 4.5 billion.
Yeah.
But we can only go forward 350 million.
Right.
Okay, I just want to make sure I got my numbers correct.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how Earth was created. Now, does anybody buy that? Well, yeah, they do, because I know people that absolutely 100% believe this.
See, and I know there's people out there who are going to be thinking, you guys just said at the beginning of your thing, be open-minded, this, that, and the other thing. And yes, we did say that.
Yeah.
But what we're getting at is this is what we believed as well.
Yeah.
5 years ago.
Sort of.
6 years ago. Right, exactly.
Because
right.
I actually always believed in God creating Earth.
I agree. I
Bang.
always believed that Christianity and science was kind of one. As long as the science didn't trump what the Bible said, I was okay with it. So some of this stuff to a certain extent, because, I don't know how long the Earth's been here.
Right.
Like maybe it has been around for 4.5 billion years. God's time's different than my time.
Yeah. It all depends on what you're taught.
Yeah. On this, and on the seventh day he rested. Maybe that's 7 days to him. And that's 4.5 billion years to me. I don't know. But to get back, it's just, when you read it, it's outlandish.
It's completely outlandish.
It's outlandish. It's just some guy probably smoking peyote in his basement, making stuff up.
Well, it completely, in my opinion, kind of defies logic. So if space is supposed to be this vast vacuum, and you've got all this dust and matter floating around just in the middle of nowhere, and it collides with one another and creates an entire solar system with gravity and different makeups of different planets, each with their own moons and their phases, and how everything just came into this perfect alignment of this astronomical miracle that came from chaos. Well, then we need to redo the term chaos.
Right.
Because if you look it up in Webster's dictionary, chaos has no order to it. How did
this all sounds like perfect order?
Yes. And that's my point is, how does everything work perfectly? And the stars and the constellations are always the same. They don't change. By season, you can look in the sky and the constellations are always the same. And how did all that happen from dust smashing into gases?
Inside of that vacuum.
Inside a vacuum, in the middle of an infinitesimal space. It's too hard. I don't believe it.
Right.
Period.
It's bogus.
It is bogus. But that's my opinion, and you're entitled to think that all this is true. Now let's move into the scientific explanation of life, because this is even better.
Yeah.
After Earth was formed, about 1 billion years after Earth was formed. So again, we know that.
We know that.
So now that would mean that the first life on our planet would be about 3.5 billion years ago.
Roughly.
Give or take.
Give or take
3.49 billion years. But after Earth was magically evolved from this space debris, life began through a process known as abiogenesis, where simple chemistry just naturally transitioned into living biology. I just don't buy this either because, okay, so you have the chaotic event of the Big Bang Theory.
Yes.
The world is full of iron, rock, and gases.
And it's hot.
Yeah. But the waters are cool.
The water's okay.
Even though they came from the core of the Earth and from meteors and other space objects that were somehow magically depositing water upon this newly formed Earth.
In this vacuum.
In this vacuum. Then these living beings just decided to create themselves. And this is basically how they went about doing it.
Yep.
Now, science will admit that's the one thing that they will say. They have no idea how this process began or what could have even triggered it. But they can explain how life was formed. Earth's earliest atmosphere was filled with methane, ammonia, water vapor, and hydrogen. So someone was here 4.5 billion years ago to collect that.
They have that. They know that.
They have it. It's a known sample
right.
that we have. Because lightning, volcanic heat, ultraviolet light from the sun constantly hit the planet, the energy from those sources broke apart all of these simple gases, allowing them to reform into amino acids and nucleotides. Now, that's pretty cool, too.
That's pretty cool that they have that.
How they came up with that one. These organic molecules accumulated in Earth's warm oceans, which created a nutrient-rich primordial soup.
The primordial soup.
You gotta love this.
I remember them
theory.
teaching us that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tidal pools and microscopic pores in the ocean rocks helped to trap those molecules close enough together that they could then react with one another. And this reaction became simple molecules called RNA, which we know still exist today.
Right.
The diseases like AIDS and HPV and things like that, those are RNAs. And an RNA could store its own genetic information and spark chemical reactions. Now, the RNA created copies of themselves, and pieces of naturally occurring fat would wrap around these replicating molecules, forming the first protective cell wall. So now you have these single cell that are floating around in this oceanic soup, looking for something to react with. But what they could do was replicate themselves. And so we talked about that in our zombie episode, right?
Right. Exactly.
That if RNA was able to pass along from one genetic code to another, that you can pass it along, which is what like HIV is. You can pass it to your child.
Exactly.
Et cetera, et cetera. So out there in the ocean, you have all of these little single cell molecules zooming around, replicating themselves. So now it's becoming just a petri dish of single cell. I don't even know what you'd call it. It's not even an amoeba. It's just a little
single cell.
Cell. It's floating around with a little
out in the
fat
soup
layer on it.
Yeah.
So these little bubbles of microscopic crap then evolved into these single-celled organisms from which all life on Earth,
every single bit of it,
descended.
Yep.
So you think about it. You got this little flagellating single-celled fatty.
Yep.
And it turned into everything you now know.
Everything. People,
plants,
frogs,
gorillas, cows, horses,
birds,
dogs, birds, lizards. Everything that is currently on Earth formed from this primordial soup.
Yep.
So each little cell actually knew how to break itself down and form some species.
Rolled over and boom, there's a rose bush.
Yep. Crawls up out of the ocean, sprouts legs, turns into something.
Yep.
Now, science says that they did not originally breathe oxygen. These little cells ate surrounding chemicals for energy. But over millions of years, some of those cells evolved photosynthesis, and they would actually release oxygen, changing the Earth's atmosphere forever.
It's that easy.
It was that easy. So we went from hydrogen and ammonia and methane and stuff, these little Flegelheimers in the ocean that crawled out somehow onto land through photosynthesis, released oxygen into our atmosphere. And then, over millions of years, these things evolved into animals and plants and all the different things that we currently have on Earth. So when you think about one big explosion in the middle of space turned into the beautiful planet that we have, even though, we destroy it with pollution and whatnot, but the planet is still gorgeous.
Right.
The sunsets and the clouds and the skies and the mountains and the rivers and the streams, just living in Montana.
It's beautiful.
It's the handiwork of no one.
Yeah.
It's just a big bang went off and turned into this beautiful paradisal planet where we now have multiple species of animals, plants, aquatic species, all kinds of things, all came from this big explosion that occurred. And that's pretty amazing.
That's amazing.
If you think about it. Now, going a little further into it, the first humans actually evolved in Africa over hundreds of thousands of years through small, gradual genetic changes in a branching population of ape-like ancestors. Now, that is the scientific explanation of how Earth got here, how the sun and the moon and the stars got here, and how we became from this single-celled organism that happened to crawl out of the ocean.
Yeah.
They call that, of course, the theory of evolution, which is still being taught today.
Yep.
And anybody that buys into that, I think, really needs help.
Yeah.
Because you can just ask the very simple question, why are there still apes? Why didn't they evolve? Why didn't some things evolve? How did a single cell turn into multiple different things? Well, I guess over millions of years, it could have crawled out. But what would it have been originally? And if it crawled out of the ocean, then why did we have fish and whales?
Why did it not?
Why did some of them stay in the water and the rest crawled out? And then as
none of them combined, you don't have like a turtle with a tree on its back walking around.
Yeah. It's incredible how it happened.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So now what we're going to do is we're going to compare that to Scripture.
Right.
And this is where we may lose some people because people.
I'm sure people have already clicked off.
Yeah. People that don't believe in God or believe in the Bible or believe in different things, different religions who may not agree with this.
Yeah.
We totally understand that just because we believe in the Bible doesn't mean you do, but this is no worse an explanation than what mankind gave us.
Exactly.
And so if you're going to say, well, you actually believe that, well, you believe the explosion that so perfectly created everything? I don't buy it. So
I'm not buying it.
Anyway, the creation via Scripture in Genesis, the very first book of the Bible, the very first chapter, says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. So it was water, basically. It goes on, Genesis 1, 3 through 5, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness, and God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And so there's no big bang. God created the earth, he created the sun, he created the moon as light sources for earth.
It's right there.
It's right there. Genesis 1, 6 through 8. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. Now, if you get into like different terminologies in the Bible, the firmament is like a solid dome. It was like I think the Hebrew term meant that it was pounded out. And a lot of people will say, well, that's ridiculous. There's nothing over the earth, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's the whole point of this podcast is if it was a flat earth contained in something, then you would have to have that firmament.
Exactly.
It also explains why is the sky blue, because there's waters above, there's waters below, the oceans were created by God. And it would also explain why there's no space travel and why NASA lies to us about things. Because if there's a firmament and you can't break through that firmament because we're in a contained system, according to the Bible, then it kind of dispels the whole globe thing. Now, I suppose there could be a firmament over a globe. I suppose we could be like a snow globe or something that still has something around us.
Right.
So it could, in fact, still be a contained system, but be a globe versus flat earth. So that doesn't necessarily prove or disprove anything. Moving on to Genesis 1, 9 through 10, God says, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together in one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters he called the seas. And God said that was good." God created earth. He created the land. He created the waters. It wasn't some magical thing that happened in the middle of this.
It wasn't dust and gases.
Yeah, dust and gas. And for a lot of people that would say, well, why do you believe that? I mean, maybe God did all of that. Maybe the Big Bang Theory was God.
Right. I've heard that before too.
Yeah. And okay.
Maybe it was.
Maybe it was. God still created the earth. It wasn't a chaotic event. It wasn't a random act that occurred in some vast space.
And
it was still a creation.
And then there wasn't amoebas crawling out of the water.
It wasn't amoebas crawling out of the water, which obviously comes up.
Yep.
In Genesis 1, 11 through 13, God makes grass, the herbs, the trees, and makes all these things that have seeds so that they can replant themselves. It was an infinitesimal amount of food source for what he's going to create next.
Yes.
Now, I do like this because we're going to get into this in the next episode.
Right.
And that is the distances and whatnot from planets and the sun and the moon. But in Genesis 1, 14 through 18, God says, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, for seasons, for days and years, and let them be for lights in the firmament of heaven to give light upon earth." And it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, the lesser to rule the night. And he also made the stars. And God set them in the firmament to give light upon the earth and to rule over the day and over the night and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw it was good. So without getting into too much of it, is the sun 93 million miles away? Or do you believe the Bible that the sun is local and it's within the firmament?
It says it right there.
I believe God over man.
Same.
And it's right there. The stars, the moon, the sun, and all of the heavenly bodies that were created by God are within the firmament. And the firmament is stretched over the earth, pounded out by God as a containment for our atmosphere. It's right there. And like I said, yeah, if you're an atheist, you're going to dismiss it. And you're going to go, oh, nope, I believe in the Big Bang. And that's cool.
That's fine.
You believe that. I'm going to believe God any day of the week over man.
Yep.
Genesis 1, 20 through 31, not going to read the whole thing, but God creates all living creatures in the sea, the air, the land, and he creates man and woman in his own image. It wasn't an amoeba that crawled out of the ocean.
And made everything somehow.
It wasn't a monkey that somehow became intelligent and over millions of years became us.
I was thinking about that when you were talking about, because we were talking about the globe being in every classroom. And I'm sure you remember when you guys talk about this stuff in school, they have the picture of, from the ape
going up through Neanderthal.
Slowly standing up.
Cro-Magnon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's bogus.
I can't take that kind of stuff. I've never believed that. Even as a child, I didn't believe that before I had faith,
Yeah.
It's too hard to. If you believe that kind of stuff, there's just got to be something wrong with you.
Yeah. It's just weird.
You've really bought into probably the biggest lie of all mankind, that we started off as monkeys and became what we are today. Just, to me, that's just so far out there.
And even if you're not a Christian, just remember what we said earlier. Question the people who are telling you this stuff.
Yes. And what's their purpose, which we'll get into a little bit later.
Look at everything else they lie about, though. How far-fetched is it to believe that they're lying about all this?
Yep.
It's not. To me, it's pretty straightforward.
It is straightforward. And if you just look at the definition of some of the things that science gives us, and then it's in direct contradiction to what they tell us is actually going on. And we'll get into that in the next episode. All right, so moving into like early to modern day belief.
Yeah.
In the beginning of time, pretty much every culture believed that the earth was flat. You can look at all of the different drawings and the maps and the things that have been created. If you ever, you can't find them anymore, but if you ever go and just look at an old encyclopedia and you open like the first page, it was a flat earth map.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about, this was in the 60s. We had the Encyclopedia Britannica, the whole volume thing. And the outside binding on it was like an embossed flat earth map at the time. And they still used those maps. Well, you got the symbol for the UN, and there's a ton of logos of flat earth.
Which, why would you even have that?
Why would you have it if you don't believe it?
Exactly.
It's crazy.
It makes no sense.
No. So the Mesopotamians, they saw that the world was a flat disk floating in the ocean, covered by a solid dome sky. Why? Because that's what the Bible says.
Because that's what it is. Yeah.
The Egyptians, they saw Earth as being flat, rectangular, or circular plane with a starry arch above it. Again, the firmament. The Chinese believed Earth was flat and square, while the heavens were round over it. Early Hindus, now they went a little nuts, but the early Hindus described a flat circular disc supported by giant elephants and a cosmic turtle.
I'll still take that
I'll
over
still
there.
take it over the explosion.
Yeah.
Ancient Hebrews saw a flat earth beneath a solid firmament holding waters above. Well, yeah, that's what it is, biblically. The early Norse and the Germanic tribes saw the earth as a flat disk surrounded by an impassable ocean with a world tree at the center. That comes directly from Daniel in the Bible.
Yeah.
And indigenous people, they saw localized flat earth or a plane-based creation cosmologies.
Which, to go back just real quick, because you said that comes straight out of Daniel.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, the early Norse did not believe in Christianity.
Right.
They had their whole other thing going on.
Right.
It wasn't, till a lot later that when they invaded, I forget the name of that, Linden's Farm or whatever, when they started meeting Christians and hearing about it. So,
yeah, their belief was not based on the Bible.
Right.
Because they didn't.
Even though it matches up slightly with.
Well, it matches Daniel's vision perfectly.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
So around 380 BC, the first formal scientific model of a geocentric universe was created by the Greek astronomer and mathematician Eudoxus. He proposed, and this guy was not too far off in my opinion, but he proposed that Earth was fixed and centered while cosmic spheres, the sun, the moon, and the planets, rotate around it. So the geocentric model makes more sense, and it's more in line with the flat earth concept that the earth is immovable and that the sun, the moon, the stars circle it.
Yeah.
And so that's what he came up with. And the mechanics of that model were that the earth remained completely still, no spinning, no moving through space, while everything else performed perfect uniform circles around it. Well, now, when they do the photography and they put a camera in the middle of a field and open the aperture, the stars perfectly circle the Earth. That can't happen on a spinning globe. It just can't.
Not the way it's described.
Not the way it's described. And a global person is going to say, well, no, that because the stars are within the same system. And so we're all moving at the same rate. But that can't be true because science says those stars are trillions of miles away.
Right.
But they're still the same stars that you see in the sky all the time.
Yep.
They're not trillions of miles away. They're within the firmament, according to the Bible. So in 4th century BC, Aristotle, he completely backs the geocentric model using physical ideas like falling objects and stuff. Anything that fell from the sky and hit the earth. He says that the earth stays still at the center of the universe and other things come to it. Well, okay. So he was trying to use his head, but he backed up Eudoxus that, no, all these things are flying around us. We're still. 2nd century AD, Claudius Ptolemy, he expands the concept of the geocentric model with complex math, and that became the standard guide for tracking the stars. And that was good enough for people for 1,500 years. The heliocentric model, which is what we are currently teaching, being an astronomical system with the sun at the center and the planets orbiting around it, it was first introduced by Greek astronomer Aristarchus in 3rd century BC. However, people rejected that theory, and the entire geocentric model remained for about 1,400 years. They thought this guy was a nut.
Yep.
The heliocentric model was revived in the year 1543 when Polish astronomer and mathematician Nicholas Copernicus published his book on the revolutions of the heavenly spheres just before he died. And then by the 17th century, Galileo used a telescope to find evidence supporting Copernicus's theory, and Johannes Kepler proved that planets moved in ellipses, which made the heliocentric model work correctly. Now, you see, this is one of the things that we'll talk about down the road. They have to find ways to make the heliocentric model work. They have to come up with things like theory of relativity, gravitational pull, speeds and distances, because it doesn't really work.
Right.
So if you think about this, the moon orbiting the Earth, but they'll tell you Earth isn't truly a sphere, it's more of an elliptical shape, bulging at the equator and narrow at the poles, then by the very math that they're showing, the moon would have to speed up to come around it because the Earth is traveling around the sun, spiraling through space, and hurling through the galaxies.
While it's spinning itself.
Well, it's spinning itself, and the moon is trying to keep up with that.
Yeah.
So if it's going around a sphere, not a perfect circle, and the orbits are on a elliptical pattern, then it has to go faster at one point, slower around the corners, faster to speed up as the Earth is spinning. It's going to have to go faster this direction, but slower this direction, which means that they have to come up with these different theories of how it rotates and how it spins and how it's moving. If you just use regular math, it doesn't work.
Right.
And so if you ever talk to a scientist about it, they'll tell you, oh, no, that's exactly what happens, but it doesn't work. And so they're always hiring somebody to come up with a theory.
That's the key. All these things are, they have to call them theories because they can't 100% prove it.
It's all theoretical. The way I see it, the Bible's not theoretical.
Right.
Bible is a historical document of what God said and did, and what people said and did, of course. Science is theory. Some science is proven, so I don't want people to think, oh, you guys just hate science. Well, no, I get it. We've made some great advances in science, and the things that are provable, that's one thing. The things that are theoretical, you have to prove that first before I'm just going to buy into it.
Exactly.
And when you say things like the sun's 93 million miles away, how did you measure that? Well, we'll get into that.
We'll get into it, yeah.
And then you're going to go, okay, well, then it is just like theory, which means, yeah, they could be off by, let's say 93 million miles.
Right.
So This guy, Kepler, he has to make the heliocentric model work, so he comes up with a theory of this elliptical path that these planets are taking. I'm sure you don't believe that in the 17th century that a telescope could see Pluto or Neptune or any other planet. Yeah. It was a piece of concaved and convex glass stuck in a brass tube, and there's no way they could see those distances.
Just look at some of the scopes the snipers used back in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And those were state-of-the-art at the time that those guys were using. Like Carlos Hathcock. I don't know if you ever read his book. It's a phenomenal book, but he was like one of the best. And their scopes were garbage.
They're crap.
To what we have today.
Yeah. And then we're going to get into that down the road,
that's
too.
A whole other thing. But
then you're just going to lose your mind over that one.
But in 17th century, he doesn't have the glass to do it.
No.
It's just not happening.
They were still using, they're still guiding by stars and stuff, using sextants and all that kind of stuff, to navigate.
Right.
And how? When we're spinning out of control. How are they able to look at Polaris and it's in the same place all the time?
Right. They're using the stars because they don't move.
They're using the stars. So in 1687, Isaac Newton supposedly proved the model mathematically using laws of gravity.
Of course he did.
Yeah. Now, that's been disputed.
Yep.
So Newton's gravitational theory, while it holds some water because it has to do with mass, that gets blown out of the water by Einstein's theory of gravity, where it like bends and transcends time and stuff. I mean, it's like, holy smokes.
We talked about this at Bible study. Was that just last week?
Yeah.
Where if you say something just with enough confidence, people who don't know any better will just go, oh, well, I don't know. Sounds like he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, he's much smarter than me.
Right. So it's got to be.
Got to believe it.
It's got to believe him.
Yeah. So Newton's theory was that the universal gravitation pulls the planets towards the sun and holds them in orbit. Now, we're going to talk about that later.
Yep.
That doesn't hold water.
Right.
It just doesn't. So now let's get into a description of the Earth. The scientific description of Earth is that Earth is located in a heliocentric universe. It's the third planet from the sun and the only known astronomical object to contain life. It's a terrestrial planet made up of rocks and metal. It's an oblate spheroid, being flat at the poles, bulging at the equator, about 7,926 miles in diameter, 24,900 miles in circumference. It's 71% ocean, 29% landmass. Atmosphere is 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, 1% trace gases. It's 93 million miles from the sun, or 1 astronomical unit, and it's about 4.5 billion years old. The Earth rotates on an axis at 1,040 miles per hour at the equator and decreases down to 0 at the poles. It orbits the sun at about 67,000 miles per hour, or 18.5 miles per second. It spirals through the galaxy at 514,000 miles per hour, and it drifts through space at 1.3 million miles per hour. So we're moving 4 different directions. We're spinning on axis, orbiting the sun, spiraling through the Milky Way, and drifting through space all at the same time.
Yep.
But everything stays in perfect alignment.
Right.
So just think about that for a second. You don't feel any movement. Water's not moving in your cup. I mean, if we have an earthquake, you can watch water ripple, right?
Yeah.
But traveling 1,000,000 miles an hour while spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, while circling the sun at 66,000 miles an hour, and hurling through space at 500,000 miles an hour, you don't feel any movement, and our waters don't move, trees don't blow.
I've heard people use the analogy with, and I don't buy it, but they go, well, it's the same thing when you're traveling in your car.
Yeah.
And it flies in the car, or you have a tennis ball in your hand and you toss the tennis ball up and down.
Yeah.
It stays going with you. Okay, that's perfect.
And it is true.
Now, when you're going 85, turn the steering wheel a quarter to the right. You're going to feel that. You're going to jerk to the left.
Yeah.
As the car flips and careens, because you jerk the wheel a quarter turn. But
I watched an actual video where they did a test on it. If there's a fly in the car and they're trying to show that the air in the car is moving the same speed as the car.
Right.
But the fly can suspend because he's able to push back against the force of the air.
Yeah.
But if you slam on your brakes, does the fly hit the windshield like you do? And they actually found that in theory, it does. But because the fly is so light and he's fighting against it by flight, that he doesn't actually slam into the windshield, but it does move forward. And I watched one where a guy actually, this is on YouTube, you can look it up yourself.
Yeah.
Guy puts a butterfly in the car and he uses a little wand to make it fly because it always wants to land on something.
Yeah.
And so it's the little butterfly and it gets up and it flies. And then he just accelerates as fast as he can. And the little butterfly goes, it heads back.
Right.
But then it flies forward because while we're stationary in a vehicle, the fly and the butterfly, they're moving with it. So they're flying with it or against the speed. And so I always thought, well, it's kind of like anytime you think about any of this stuff, you're in an elevator, the brakes fail on the elevator, it's falling 5 stories. If you jump up at the last second, will you smash into the ground or will you suspend in space and save yourself? No, you smash in the ground.
Yeah.
Because you're traveling the same speed as the elevator.
Right.
It's no different for the bug in the car. And so they were able to prove that theory. So I guess if you were to say, well, the Earth is spinning at 1,040 miles an hour, hurling around the sun at 66,000 miles, then our airspace is doing that as well. But why doesn't that blow trees? Why doesn't, if a 7 mile an hour wind comes up, it's blowing things.
Yeah.
Why is that not happening while we're spinning? I think people have to ask that question.
Right.
Science will have an answer for you. Oh, it's because it's all contained in one atmospherical thing and it's all moving together. Well, if you ever watch a model of the Earth spinning on axis, circling the sun, spiraling through space, and traveling at over 1,000,000 miles an hour through the universe, how do you not feel or notice any movement? It's just because it's not happening. That's,
right.
That's the bottom line. But you know what? You go ahead and believe that we're on this spinning crazy speeds, 1,000,000 miles an hour. Come on. Have you ever seen the YouTube video of that sled that they got up to 6,900 miles an hour?
I don't think so. No.
Can't even see it. They launch it and it's so fast it goes by. You can't see it. That's 6,900 miles an hour.
And we're traveling 1.9
or
1.3, excuse me,
million miles an hour. The friction alone you'd be burning up. They do those centrifuges, kind of like a centrifuge, where they check to see how many knots it takes to knock you out. They test pilots and stuff.
Oh, yep. Yeah.
Think you could put him in that thing at 1,000,000 miles an hour? He'd turn into soup.
Maybe back to the primordials.
Yeah, back to primordials. So I just,
but
people just have to.
We'll be the weirdos, and if you
this.
want to believe it, we won't even. We're not going to let it bother us. It's fine.
Doesn't bother me.
I don't care.
Yeah, I'll go on my merry way knowing that I'm not spinning out of control. But biblical versions of Earth, Isaiah 40:22. It is He who sits above the circle of the earth, and its inhabitants are like grasshoppers who stretch out the heavens like a curtain and spreads them like a tent to dwell in. A lot of people will say, well, see, it's a circle. A circle is a two-dimensional object. A sphere is a ball. A lot of people will say, well, no, but the Hebrew version of that could be interpreted as it's a ball. Okay, maybe, maybe not. There's too many references in the Bible about it being a circle, not a ball or sphere. Goes on, Proverbs 8:27. When he established the heavens, I was there. When he drew a circle on the face of the deep. So, remember, it was initially water. It was the great deep. He draws a circle on it and he brings landmass up out of the water and he puts a firmament over it. That's in Genesis. Again, it's a circle. It doesn't say he created a globe or a ball. Job 26:10. He has inscribed a circle on the face of the waters. at the boundary between light and darkness. Again, another description, circle, not a bull. People will say, no, that's not what that means. The Bible is metaphorical. It was poetic. It's this, it's that.
Yep.
You and I talked about this before we moved on. A lot of people are going to say Jesus spoke in parables.
I've heard that. Well, yep.
Yeah. And that's what these are just parables. No, that's not what a parable is.
No.
Parable was so that you could understand it. If Jesus said that your faith is like a seed.
Parable's an analogy.
Yeah. And a seed, on rock sprouts and dies means you have little faith. That's a parable.
Right.
Literally stating how the earth was created and how the animals and the plants and the humans were created is not a parable.
No.
He's saying,
he's just telling you what happened.
I created this.
Yes.
It's not, oh, by the way, this is a metaphorical thing.
Just kidding.
Yeah, just kidding. The foundations and the pillars of the earth. 1 Samuel 2:8, for the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and on them he has set the world. Well, sounds like stationary.
Yeah.
Doesn't say he put it on an axis, a spinning ball on an axis. It says he put the earth on pillars. Psalm 104:5. He set the earth on its foundations, and it can never be moved. Hebrews 1:10. In the beginning, Lord, you laid the foundations of the earth, and the heavens are the work of your hands. And so when you think about a foundation, do you think of it as being moving?
No.
Your home is on a foundation. Does it
It's
spin?
not spinning out of control
and move? No,
1.3 million miles an hour.
It's on footings. It's
Right.
on a foundation. Job 26:7, he stretches out the north over empty space and hangs the earth on nothing. We're suspended. It's the way I read that.
Yeah.
I don't see how you can come up with anything else. Job 38:4-7. Loved this one. This is a very long one, but this I've shortened it down. The Lord is actually talking to Job. And he says, where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Tell me if you understand. Who marked off its dimensions? Surely you know. Who stretched a measuring line across it? On what were its footings set? And who laid its cornerstone? While the morning stars sang together and all the angels shouted for joy. This is God talking to Job, telling him, the earth is on a foundation. It has a cornerstone.
And I don't believe he's talking in parables and riddles because he's essentially, for lack of a better term, he's kind of chewing into him a little bit here.
A little rip there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like, who are you?
If you're talking to your
kids. I was here when this place was created. I did it.
Think about it. If you're at home talking to your kid, say they're 5 or 6 years old or 10 years old, doesn't matter. If you're trying to get your point across, are you speaking to them in riddles and analogies?
Yeah.
Or are you telling them, you did this, and I don't like that you did this.
Yeah.
So now I'm telling you this.
Right.
You're not saying, well, why did the chicken cross the road?
Yeah.
You're not doing that stuff.
Yeah. You're not Confucius.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Psalm 96:10, say among the nations, the Lord reigns. Indeed, the world is firmly established and it will not be moved. 1 Chronicles 16:30, tremble before him, all the earth. Indeed, the world is firmly established and it will not be moved. And yet, science tells us, we're moving it on just
at a clip.
At a clip. I mean, in 4 different directions.
Yeah.
We're just spinning like crazy.
And they're not small numbers that we're spinning at.
No, we're not. So the Bible does have some references to being flat. Now, at no point, so I don't want anybody arguing me, at no point does it say the earth is flat. It does not say that. But I think you can draw inference to some of these passages. Daniel 4:10-11. Daniel says, now, these were the visions in my mind as I lay on my bed. I was looking, and behold, there was a tree in the midst of the earth, and its height was great. And the tree grew large and became strong, and its height reached to the sky, and it was visible to the end of the earth. Well,
just think about it.
Not a globe.
Yeah.
If you're in Australia and I'm posting this tree is hitting the heavens in the North Pole.
Right.
You're not going to see it.
You're not going to see it.
Unless the earth was flat.
Right.
Matthew 4:8. The devil took him, meaning Jesus, to a high mountain and showed him all of the kingdoms of the world and their glory. How can you look out over a globe? Can't.
You can't.
Revelations 1:7. This one, behold, he is coming with the clouds, and every eye will see him, even those who pierced him, and all the tribes of the earth will mourn over him. So it is to be. Amen. That one, you can either read into it or say, well, because when Jesus comes back, he's going to be huge in the sky, and the whole world will see him no matter where you are on the planet. Okay, maybe.
Sure.
It's possible. Be a lot easier if the earth was flat for all people to look up and see the same sky.
Yeah.
Revelations 7:1. After this, I saw 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding back the 4 winds of the earth so that no wind would blow on the earth or on the sea or on any tree.
And this is the one we were kind of talking about earlier before we started.
Yep. A lot of people are going to say that's metaphorical. 4 corners of the earth means north, east, west, and south.
Okay.
Could be.
Sure.
Could also be literal.
And the thing is, if you just read that verse and no others, I could buy that.
Yep.
But when you start adding the other ones in, it makes more sense.
Yeah. My favorite one actually is Job 38:14. The earth takes shape like clay under a seal, and its features stand out like those of a garment. You know what this clay under a seal means?
It's like a stamp.
It's a stamp.
It's a stamp.
I used to love that. I had one when I was a kid. The wax stamp, and you'd seal envelopes because, back in my day, we wrote letters. We didn't have phones and didn't have email, didn't have anything like that. You wrote grandma a letter, and I was obsessed with my little wax seal. And so you drip the hot wax on the envelope, and I had a little stamp. You mush it, and what happens? It creates a circle with raised edges up around it, like what people are going to say is the Antarctic seawall or the ice wall.
Right.
And in the center is whatever your stamp was. So if it was a 4-leaf clover, you saw it in the stamp. Well, that's what Job is describing here.
Exactly.
When its features stand out like those of a garment, it means literally like the topographical
just
stuff.
think of like the ruffles of the bottom of a dress or something.
So if the earth takes shape like clay under a seal, but you can see that it has substance to it in the center.
Yeah.
Then the way the light hits it, it's going to cast shadows. You'd see mountains, you'd see, trees, you'd see things. He's literally describing a wax seal.
Yeah.
Which is flat earth. Take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But that's what it means to me. Evidence that our system is enclosed. Genesis 1:6-8. Creation of the firmament and the setting of all bodies of light within that firmament. Job 37:18. Can you join him in spreading out the skies, hard as a mirror of cast bronze? That's a solid object. He's referring to the firmament. The handiwork of God's firmament was like a mirror of cast bronze.
Yep.
Job 38:8-11. Again, this is God talking. Who shut up the sea behind doors when it burst forth from the womb, when I fixed the limits for it and set its doors and bars in place? He's literally stating the sea has limits. It's not around a globe. It's a contained item with doors and bars in place. That, to me, that's literal.
That's how I read it.
And he's talking about, who did that? I did it. I did it. He's telling Job, it's my handiwork.
Yeah.
I made the ocean. I put limits to it. I sealed it. And then this has actually been confirmed by science, this next one.
Yeah.
You remember?
Oh, yeah.
When they did this and found that the calendar was off by one day. Joshua 10:12-14. Joshua's talking about, they're kind of like in a war situation.
Yep.
An invasion. The sun and the moon stood still in the sky for about a whole day. Science literally says that there was one lost day on the calendar And the reason for that was because the sun did not set and the moon did not come out. They were still in the sky. Well, did the earth stop spinning? Is that what happened?
Everybody would have been dead.
Yeah.
Second you stop going that fast,
Yeah.
you're hurled into dust.
Well, you'd think so.
You know what? We're probably hurled into dust, which created another planet.
Another planet.
I didn't even think about that.
See?
Debunked.
Yeah, completely debunked. So the bottom line here, and we've already gone probably too far into this.
But we have to.
But we have to because you got to set the stage. Creation via science, creation via God. And then in our next episode, we'll get into kind of like proof of these ideas or concepts.
Exactly.
But at this point, the question has to be asked, do you believe that this chaotic explosion or collision of matter in the darkness of space perfectly created the earth, the sun, the moon, the stars, any other planets, and then somehow by accident, all existing life cooked itself up in a primordial soup over hundreds of thousands of years? Or was it all by design? Well, I personally believe we had a creator.
Yep.
God did this handiwork. And there's no amount of information in the world that would ever get me to say, no. Big explosion, earth created, sun a burning ball of gas that never burns out, by the way, which is kind of cool how that happens.
Oh, it's amazing.
And then life just happened.
All of it. Every single bit of it.
Everything just
perfectly
crawled out of the sea and became all the things that you see today.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And I'm never going to buy into that, just like people that believe in the globe and believe in science and don't believe in God will never believe that there's a creator.
Right.
And that's cool.
It's fine.
Not in the end for you.
Yeah, unfortunately not. Yeah.
When you don't believe. But that's cool.
Yeah.
Like I say, nobody's here to argue the point. We're just pointing out that these flat earth people are not crazy. They're reading scripture. They're determining that the things that they learned over their lifetime are made up by people that don't want you to believe in the Bible.
And I can't wait till we get in some of these little facts here too.
Yeah. The facts are fun.
Yeah.
So you got to ask yourself, if you believe in God, why would you believe in the explanation of the creation of earth and life that science gives you when scripture literally tells us how it was done?
Yep.
To me, that's the simplest question. If you believe in God, you cannot believe in this science crap because God disputes that in his word.
Yes.
Of how things happened. So if you do believe it, then you obviously don't believe in the Bible. And I'm not saying flat earth. So again, let's get away from that for a second. The Bible doesn't say the earth is flat, but I think you can draw an inference that it could be.
Correct.
And as far as I'm concerned, and I know you as well, really doesn't matter if you believe the earth is a sphere hurling through space at unbelievable speeds, or if you believe it's flat and stationary. But what I do think is important is that you don't just believe everything that is told to you by people in power.
Especially when you could see what's going on in the world by those people in power.
If you can't question the validity of stuff, I mean, let's face it. I think if we weren't talking about a controversial subject like flat earth, if we were talking about cancer, diabetes, and we made some outlandish statement that, hey, Big Pharma does not want to cure cancer. Chemo and the drugs and the screenings and the tests are a multi-billion-dollar industry. Why would they want a cure? People would be on board with that in a second. They would say, oh, absolutely. You know there's a cure for diabetes. They want to keep you on insulin and they want blah, blah, and people have no problem buying into those kinds of theories. These are the same kind of people that would have you believe that we're launching people into space and we're traveling and we'll be on Mars soon and there's life on Pluto.
I mean, NASA's a multi-billion-dollar,
and they're funded all the time.
Yeah.
You got to ask questions like, let's go, why do we still have a helium plant? Why is that?
Yeah.
What's the purpose of it? We haven't had balloon warfare since World War II when the Zeppelin blew up.
Yeah.
We haven't had, there's no need for it. Right?
Yeah.
unless you're launching satellites with helium balloons
Right.
or something, then you have to have it. And so if people would just ask questions, why do we waste money on how fast does ketchup roll downhill, or why does a dog bark, or are cow farts poisoning the planet? We'll spend billions of dollars to research that to get an answer. Well, they bark because they're dogs.
Right.
Oh, and that only costs us, the taxpayer, $480 million.
No big deal.
No big deal. And people don't question what's really going on.
Right.
And in this particular case, don't care if it's flat, don't care if it's round, but I guarantee you it just come from a chaotic event.
Yes.
And so I just can't believe science the majority of the time anymore, because they lie to us about everything. And then if you ask, why would mankind tell us this? Well, I mean, what would be their motive or purpose to purposely lie about stuff?
Yeah.
Well, my answer would be because it's evil.
It's the number one answer for me.
They just want to deceive you, and they want you to question the Bible and the existence of God. And so if they can say God didn't create the world, it blew up. It was space dust, and it blew up, and it created this, and then these little organisms crawled out of the ocean and made us.
Yeah.
If they can get you to believe that and detour you from the Word of God, then that's exactly what it's for.
And that's my number one belief. But even if you're not Christian like we are, they still want your money.
Yeah.
And they still want to control you.
Right. So as long as we're launching rockets into space, making you think that we're doing space travel.
You can give me billions of dollars every year.
Yeah. Then they suck that money out of your paycheck, and then, we still don't go to the moon.
Right.
We haven't been there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you believe that we went there in 1969, why haven't we been back? Why haven't we put people on the moon? Why aren't we in Mars? They've been talking about Mars travel since I was a kid.
Yep.
Guaranteeing that we were just years away from it. Well, that's been 50 years now that we were supposed to be there. And then people buy into, oh yeah, well, we have that lunar module that's driving around on Mars right now. Really? For 10 years? The battery in my truck won't last 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. That thing's still, and sending back samples.
Oh, samples
collecting
and signals.
things
Easy.
and launching them.
Yeah.
To us.
All the time.
How do we get Mars rocks and stuff?
It's just like in
all crap.
It's just like in the Sandlot where they got that little metal kit.
Yeah.
And they sent it over to launch the ball back. Same thing.
Yeah.
Just a little bit bigger.
Just a little further too.
Just a little bit.
You just have to ask the question, who knows more, mankind or God?
That's easy for me.
Yeah, it's easy for me too. And so here's the fun stuff.
I like this one. Yeah.
So in my opinion, if you want a little clue as to who's behind all the scientific deception, we're going to throw some fun facts.
Yep.
You want to cover
those?
Yeah.
So the Earth's axis, its orbital inclination around the sun is 66.6 degrees.
Amazing.
The Earth orbits the sun at roughly 66,600 miles per hour. The Earth's circumference is 600 times 6 times 6 nautical miles, or 24,900 miles. The speed of sound is 666 knots per second. The force of Earth gravity is 666 newtons. The Arctic and Antarctic circles are at 66.6 degrees. The distance to the moon is 6 times 60 times 666 miles. The diameter of the moon is 6 times 6 times 60 miles. And the sunset is divided by 3 degrees, 6 degrees by 6 degrees by 6 degrees, known as civil twilight, nautical twilight, and astronomical twilight. Mars is located 1.666 astronomical units from the sun at aphelion, which is its farthest point.
Well, I think we all know what 666 is all about, right?
Super coincidental.
Now, honestly, can that be a coincidence? That all the stuff to do with astronomy, all of the scientific evidence that we have of Earth's rotation and the speeds that we travel and the distances that we go, and that we're just floundering through space with no known destination, and everything just sticks with us and stuff, how it all ends up being sixes, which
it's very coincidental.
The mark of the beast is 666.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know.
Yeah, and who would want to deceive you the most?
The great deceiver.
The great deceiver. The liar.
That's it.
That's it. And you can ask, and I don't want to get into the whole thing about Freemasons and all that kind of stuff, with the 33 degrees and all that, because I'm not going to sit and slam the Masons. I don't know enough about them, their organization, the whole Illuminati and all that stuff, because we're not in a fight against flesh and blood. We're in a fight against the principalities of darkness.
Yes.
And it's Satan. But the powers to be, people that run stuff on earth, can be easily influenced by that.
Yeah.
We see it in our entertainment industry.
Yeah.
People that are admittedly selling their souls for fame and fortune. Whether you believe it or not, I do.
Yeah.
And evil is prevalent. People are inherently, I'd like to be able to say good, but we're born sinners.
Yes.
And we fall to evil and sin on a daily basis, an hourly basis. We do stupid things no matter how good we think we're trying to be. And we're fortunate that we have a Lord and Savior who will forgive us for those things if we want that.
Yes.
But the world is evil. And when you look at just what we're talking about right now, you just can't tell me that it's all coincidental, that all the information that science has come up with is the mark of the beast, basically.
I can't fathom it.
It
doesn't make any
falls
sense.
In line with complete deception and to detour you from seeking the right path.
Yep.
And when you believe all of this crap, then you do lose sight of Scripture. And while it never shook my faith, and I will say that, never shook my faith, I did believe all this crap.
Right.
Except for the ape thing. I knew that God created Adam and Eve. He didn't create apes that became people. But I did believe all of this scientific nonsense about hurling through space at astronomical speeds and these achievements that we've made in science and galaxies that we've located. And now I don't believe any of it. It's all bunk. Now I might be an idiot. And a lot of people are going to say, well, you are an idiot because they've proven it, but they've not proven anything. They can't even get DNA from a dinosaur bone, and we're buying into the whole concept of dinosaurs, which is a whole nother topic in and of itself. But if there isn't proof, then it's really hard for me to believe from mankind standpoint.
Yeah.
If a guy tells me, hey, we got a sample from Pluto, I want to know how we got it. And if they say we launched a rocket, it took 32 years to get there, and it somehow magically landed, collected a sample, and it came right back, I'm gonna say no, it didn't.
That's bogus.
It's a lie.
Yeah,
and that's pretty much all of the scientific evidence that we have is based on somebody's say-so with no proof. So I don't buy any of it anymore.
And just like you talked about earlier with the parable with the seed, as far as like growing faith, when you're spreading the word kind of thing, for people who don't know, that's kind of what the parable's about. It's the same thing with deception.
Yeah.
The devil's not going to get in your face and just say, God's not real, because you would see, holy smokes, that's the devil. God has to be real. He's going to plant a seed.
Yeah.
And all it takes is for that seed to sprout, for you to have doubt, and then continue to question God and start to believe science. Yep. That's all it takes.
That's all it takes. It's a simple process.
That's it.
Deception is a horrible thing.
Yeah.
But once deceived and you really buy into it, you can do this in anything in life. If I teach my children something and firmly implant that in their heads, when their friends tell them that's not true, they don't believe their friends.
Right.
They believe what they've been taught and told.
Yes.
And I did forever. I believed the heliocentric model and that we were spinning out of control through space. And I never questioned it.
Yeah.
Until you just ask like 2 questions. And then you're like, that just can't be. We can't be doing that.
Yeah.
So again, I think we're all done
with
this particular episode. Now, this is, again, this one probably a little boring for you guys.
I hope you stay till the end.
I hope you stay till the end.
Like you said, we're setting the foundation for the next portion.
For getting into the evidence for both sides.
For both sides.
We're going to talk both sides. So I don't want anybody to go, oh, these guys are clearly trying to push flat Earth. Do I believe that it's flat? Probably at this point in my life. I think more things point to that. But I'm not going to go out there and say that I know that it is.
Right.
And I'm not a member of the Flat Earth Society. And I don't walk around and I'm not a proponent of it and telling people that they should believe this or not. I'm just saying that when you read the scriptures and you look at the evidence that we're going to go over in the next episode, it makes me wonder.
Yep. I'm right there with you.
Yeah. And so I could actually say, yep, I'm a flat earther.
Yeah. Yeah.
and be proud of it.
Yeah.
So with that, do you have anything else?
No, I just hope you guys, I hope you stayed. I hope you listened. I hope you kept an open mind if you're against it.
Yeah. A little sorry that it was as droll and boring as it is, but again, it lays a foundation of man's viewpoint versus biblical viewpoint.
Right. Yep.
That's all we were doing in this episode. The rest of it's going to be fun. And the rest of it is where you're going to actually have to make up your own mind if you believe it or not. That's it. And with that,
thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed the show and you want to help us out, then go ahead and give us a follow, leave us a review, and don't forget to turn on the automatic download button so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And as always, if you've had any experiences, stories, thoughts, comments, or questions, we'd love to hear from you. Send us an email to cryptidfanatic@gmail.com. Let us know if you'd like to be on the show or just have your story featured during one of our episodes.